Neo, I want to talk to you about the Matrix. Sorry. I felt like that was a good way to start the show.
Seems you've been living two lives.
You take the red pill.
Yeah. You stay in Wonderland. Well,
something like that. Yeah. No, but today we're going to talk about the simulation theory, which is it's gaining ground. Like when I first heard it, I remember heard about it a long time ago. I said that's silly, but is it really that silly? Well, we're gonna jump into it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's talk about it.
Welcome to Zumundous. I'm not doing.
I was like, I usually say. I mean, you're welcome to say it. You caught me off guard, man.
Well, I just felt like I needed a keytar for that intro,
That's keytarded.
Yeah.
All right. I'm Dylan.
And I'm Keith.
And today we're going to talk about simulation theory. So what is simulation theory, man?
Man, it is wild.
So some people think that we are living in a simulation, and some people like Neil deGrasse Tyson and Elon Musk
Your boy Elon Musk, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they've gone on to say that it's not only plausible, but very probable.
And most likely the case.
Yeah.
Which is probable.
Yeah, actually,
if we could create a simulation, we would, and hence we would be in it.
We have created simulations. Like every video game you've ever played is a simulation of sort, especially now with video games becoming a little bit more advanced. Video games have AI in them, like built in. So if you're playing like Call of Duty or something, you're going around, you're shooting up the bad guys, they run on an AI program.
Yeah, and based off of your actions, things can, change,
Exactly.
Playing a boxing game, the boxer fights different, that kind of stuff. Also, there's a simulation is a genre of game in general, where you Sim Farm or Sim City, you're like a city manager, those kind of things.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's all just, ones and zeros and lines of code when you break it down. But then that begs the question, like, is all of this just ones and zeros and lines of code? Is this a digital world we're living in, or maybe something we don't really understand?
Can I ask you what you think this early in the show or no?
I used to dismiss it as kind of a crazy idea, but now I'm not so sure.
Okay. Well, I mean, there's no way to really know unless you could get to the outside of the code or something.
Exactly.
Or like a boundary or something. Right? Gotta find those boundaries.
So, what if everything you've ever seen, heard, felt, known was just lines of code? And I'll start today by talking a little bit about the foundation of simulation theory. And this basically goes back to 2003. So it's a fairly new concept. But there was a man named Nick Bostrom, and he's a Swedish philosopher. He proposed the simulation hypothesis. And his argument basically boils down to a probability game, which is if a civilization becomes advanced enough to create perfect simulations of reality, then logically they would run many simulations, perhaps billions. And if that's true, the odds that we are living in a simulation from the base reality are possible. Like it could be in theory, but it's like you think like I'm not an AI. Like I have sentience, I have consciousness. Like, well, do you really? Like maybe it's just
like I do.
Yeah, I feel like I do, and I think everybody listening feels that as well. But
yeah.
But what if that consciousness is just you are just a self-aware AI? So
that's interesting, like self-aware enough to do things. Because I'm like, if somebody was playing me, why would they do what I'm doing?
Well, you got to think like we have
sounds boring.
Everything we do. Let's think about like all the stuff you do. Like you get up, you go to work. You pay your bills, you go to sleep at night, you cook your dinner. All of those boil down to base instincts that we have to eat, sleep, grow, reproduce, and eventually one day die. So I mean, like even like we're sitting in this house that I live in because I need a place to live. How do I pay for this place? Well, I have a job. All right. Well, why do I have a job? Because I need a place to live. Because I need food. So really, we have like hobbies like podcasting, and things that we do, but everything kind of boils down to those base instincts that we have. So I mean, like, yeah, we're sentient. We have thoughts of our own, but like, do we really have that free will? Because everything kind of boils down to those survival instincts.
Well, I think, I mean, now you're kind of unpacking society as a whole, right?
Yeah.
Like you get a job.
Well, society is a simulation though, you know?
Right. It's a fascinating concept. So I guess we could be NPCs in the simulation, which is even makes you feel like less of a person, right? Like, not only am I simulated, nobody's even playing me. Like this is boring, right? Yeah, I don't know. I get hungry and I get sleepy. And yeah.
Well, Bostrom has 3 scenarios. Okay. So the first one, he suggests that one of these must be true, and that is the first
one of these must be.
Of these 3. So number 1 is simulations never reach the level of technology to create realistic simulations. So they either go extinct first or hit some fundamental barrier. Also kind of like almost like the Fermi paradox, but applied to something else.
Right.
Number 2 is advanced civilizations choose not to simulate their ancestors for ethical, moral, or practical reasons.
So this would be that we are actually far into the future, but we're simulating that it's in the 2020s.
Right.
And we're not actually here. We're just memories or programs of
history.
May have been here.
Yeah. So what if
may have been podcasts?
God, that's actually something I didn't even think about. Like what if like if our prime selves actually existed thousands of years ago? We're going down the rabbit hole here, man.
Yeah.
But if our prime selves like existed thousands, what
year is it?
Yeah, you know.
I want out.
Yeah. Our prime selves existed thousands of years ago, but they just wanted to create a simulation to recreate like history. And they're like, all right, these are all the parameters. This is what we knew about the people that lived. Let's just recreate them in the simulation and watch, and we can observe history. And we're just performing echoes of...
We're joking about conspiracy theories. So if every bird really is like a surveillance thing, maybe we're already in a surveillance state, so they know everything we did, so they're allowed to simulate it because they knew how we lived our lives, and we actually did live thousands of years ago.
So weird, man.
I don't know, man. Crazy.
It's crazy.
You know, if they're simulating, would you run simulations? I mean, we play like history games, Age of Empires. Right?
Age of Empires, I love Age of Empires.
Fun accurate game. As far as we understand
definitely
our
not.
Past, but that's a simulation of it.
That is.
Civilization, the game, that kind of stuff. So I guess we do it.
Yeah.
Even if we're in the sim, we're simulating on top of that. Far out.
Wow.
Yeah, I think Elon Musk said on Joe Rogan something like, if we were capable of doing it, we would do it.
Well, he said, Elon Musk said the chance that we are not in a simulation is 1 in billions. So he believes pretty firmly that this is a simulation. And, you know, Elon Musk, you know,
he must be the main character because he's got all the money.
I was going to say, he's
flying to different planets. He's won. He's gone out to Centauri, right?
Well, you know, and you can say
civilization.
I mean, and he's kind of a controversial figure right now. So I'm not saying one thing or the other about him, but all I am saying is he is a very intelligent person.
Yeah, he's a smart guy.
But and he believes that this is a simulation.
I didn't ask him that.
Hey man, when you go hang out with him next Tuesday, let me know what he says.
No, I met him once. And he was smart. You could see him thinking and the wheels turning. I've said that several times, just kind of how his brain works. But so if we're in a simulation, though, I have to ask why so many details? Okay, because when you play a video game, for example,
well, it's an advanced simulation.
Advanced, okay, I'll give you that. I'll even give you that. But like nothing. This is spare no expense. Why is this table skirt a little frayed? That's kind of unnecessary to program that if we're in a simulation.
Maybe it's the little details that make it believable.
Are they here trying to entertain us? If we're NPCs, if somebody's playing us, I just don't understand why they would make the horrible life choices that we all make. You know, like when you just
what is it like? What is it that they said on the Matrix? I remember, like they said, like the first Matrix that they created
was perfect,
yes. And people rejected it.
Yes,
it was a perfect society. And people rejected it
was
because
too good.
Because we don't accept perfection as reality. So that's a I mean,
It
from
could
a silly
be.
science fiction movie, but it could be a possibility.
And I mean, we could go off on cyberpunk in general and all
Sure.
kinds of things, and Shadowrun and Warhammer and stuff. When you're talking about the Matrix specifically, because the concepts come from a lot of books and things. Neuromancer, right? Blade
Sure.
Runner, yeah, all that kind of stuff. But when you talk about not wanting perfection, I get it. Like all the grass would be perfectly straight, and
Yeah.
it almost seems like the simulation would be like fake 1950s stuff.
Yeah.
And that would be annoying, right? You know, no punk rock, you know, no heavy metal, no rap, nothing like that. You know, it'd be weird. So I could kind of see that, but you know, when you round a corner, this is the thing. Am I really there? Like when I leave your house, I really drove here. I saw myself drive, not from outside of, you know, I drove here.
Right.
I saw the road, you know? But were you here, or were like the program just unfolds when I show up and you just show up? Boom, like I assume you're doing stuff all day, but I don't really have proof of it now, do I?
Yeah.
Except for the fact you texted me.
Well, that's I mean that's the other thing. Like if I'm not in your field of vision,
Wouldn't it just shut down for efficiency?
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's the other thing. Like let's say there's a mountaintop that nobody's been to yet. All right.
We've been to all of them.
Well, maybe not. I mean,
Maybe
there's
not.
probably,
Okay, yeah, maybe not every mountaintop, but they've definitely been to the tallest.
Let me use another. But okay, so before 1969, when man landed on the moon.
Yep.
Maybe the moon didn't exist until in this theory until we went there. Like there was a digital rendering of it, but when we went there, they're like, oh, the Sims are going to the moon. All right, I guess. All right, now, like, you know, now.
I wonder if somebody programmed it, they just let the AI do it. They're like, whatever you get, you get.
So, I mean, but then that begs the question, then, like, you know, other places, like, you know, the vastness of space, maybe and something like we talked about this a couple episodes back where we talked about the vastness of space, and maybe it's so far away and we can't accelerate past the speed of light because it's meant to keep the Sims from leaving the neighborhood.
Basically.
I mean that's an idea, right? Like, you know, if we're not supposed to leave here because this is where all the programming is, the great vast universe that we know out there, it's just a visual rendering.
It's just a picture.
It's just a picture.
You know, it's funny, we were talking about that last night about light and light speed and stuff. And dude said, yeah, some of those stars aren't even there anymore because it takes so long for the light to get here. You're like, well, yeah, some of them are probably still there. Some of them could be gone. You know, it's pretty wild.
Yeah. I mean, so why is light speed such an unbreakable barrier that we know of? Like that's a very convenient thing that nothing can accelerate past the speed of light and everything is so far away.
Maybe nothing's needed to yet until we travel space, then we break it. You know, it's like the sound barrier.
We'd break the programming, like Neo in the Matrix. He broke the programming.
He did. He definitely bent some rules there and could move super fast and eventually fly and all kinds of wild stuff. But he had to. Yeah, it's weird.
It's kind of weird to think that you know, within this theory, God would just essentially be a cosmic coder, or some dude named Hank in IT is God. You know,
maybe all that stuff still exists outside, and that's why they program it in here, right?
Well, so let's talk a little bit about glitches in the Matrix a little bit.
Oh, so now this is the one. If there is an argument that says this is real, I think we'd probably be in the first one. I'm just going to go out there and say that. Not the first simulation, but like the real, I feel like we're in the real world, okay?
Yeah.
All right. I don't feel like a simulation. That being said, some weird things have happened in our lifetimes.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, there's the whole thing about the Hadron Collider, and a lot of people, like, there's some crazy conspiracy theories out there that we've shifted timelines and shit.
Yeah, and I love that stuff.
I mean, it's interesting. I don't know how accurate it is, but it's definitely interesting.
Oh, I'm not saying it's accurate, but it's fun. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's definitely fun to talk about.
One of those things is the Mandela Effect.
The Mandela Effect, for sure. Like, yeah, so that's definitely, a lot of people believe that the Mandela Effect is proof that we are in a simulation. And so the Mandela Effect, if you don't know, is where one group of people remembers things one way and then another group of people remembers things another way.
And it goes back to Nelson Mandela.
And it goes back to Nelson Mandela. Now, there's people that swore that Nelson Mandela died in prison.
Like pretty early on, right?
Yeah, pretty early on. Now, we know from history, like,
he got out.
He got out and then wrote a book about it. Like,
and became the president.
Yeah, or something. Yeah. He became a very prominent figure. Yeah. But I think it was called The Long Walk to Freedom. So, like, yeah, he definitely made it out of prison and wrote a book.
Right.
Another one is, I mean, and that's the big one, but there's some other smaller things like the Berenstein Bears versus the Bearstein Bears. Some people remember it Berenstein, but it's actually Berenstain. There's Looney Tunes, Tunes versus Tunes, Toons. The cartoon is Looney Tunes, Tunes, but a lot of people insist that it was spelled Tunes, Toons.
I can picture that. Like, I remember that.
I seem to recall it being Looney Tunes as well, Toons. I seem to recall it, but could be wrong.
But I could just be misremembering. So the Fruit of the Loom thing, I'm going to go out on a limb here because I just saw the cornucopia on your underwear or your T-shirt or whatever it was.
Quit going through my underwear drawer, man.
Still wearing them. Somebody went back and the company supposedly says, and I've never reached out to the company and asked that the Fruit of the Loom thing, or the Fruit of the Loom.
They swear it was never there.
The cornucopia was never there. Somebody found a T-shirt recently, took a picture of it, has the cornucopia on it. So if the company's saying it never existed, why would they say that? Because it clearly exists.
Well, there's some theories out there that they say it's a psyop, basically. Like they're
just to mess with you.
So we're going down the rabbit hole of government conspiracies here. But something hats. To put your tinfoil hats on. But I've heard it said that some people think that
I saw the picture, so I know
they're essentially doing it to see if memories can be altered. So if they change things and swear and they remove the evidence, they'll swear it. And how many people will go like, oh yeah, okay. You know, like another one that people swear up and down that in sometime in like the 80s or early 90s, actor comedian Sinbad was in a genie movie called
100%
called Shazam,
right.
or was it Kazam? I forget one of those.
Shazam.
There was a movie with Shaquille O'Neal
called Shazam.
I think that was Kazam. But it wasn't Sinbad. Now I've never heard of this before, but there's people out there that swear
they've done college humor jokes about this.
Yeah, they brought Sinbad in to do like
I remember that.
Yeah,
I remember that.
Yeah, I don't have any recollection of that.
I definitely remember that, which is so weird. At least like a preview or something. Like that's what I was thinking is maybe it was a movie that was in pre-production. And they're just like, this is bad. Like and back then we didn't scrap anything.
Even Sinbad has come out and said, guys, I never did that movie. Yeah, he said he was
never in that movie.
He's like, that was not a movie I ever did.
But I can remember, and I think people have looked it up at whether he's played a genie on like a TV show and people are just misremembering or something like that. But
no, one that I do remember for sure is the Monopoly Man's monocle. Like he had a monocle.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah, like Natty, does the Natty Bo guy have that too? Like the beer guy?
Who?
Natty Bo. It's the Utz girl's boyfriend. It's a real thing. It's a Maryland beer company.
Okay.
Natural Bohemian.
Oh, okay. All right. Got it.
But he's got like a monocle like that too.
Yeah. But so it's like, but he never had one.
Yeah, he did. He had to have.
You got your laptop? All right, pull it up there while I talk a little bit about this, and we're gonna check it real quick.
I swear he had that.
So he's so sure he's gonna check. So we'll check it out. It could be attributed to simple memory errors, but it's strange that
he definitely does not have a monocle.
See, I told you.
That's weird.
Isn't that crazy?
Monopoly guy. There it is.
Oh, look at that. Oh, no, that's under a Reddit for the Mandela Effect. Somebody put that. Somebody put it there.
It looks pretty real to me.
But I mean, you see those pictures there, he doesn't have one, which is crazy.
He does not.
Some people believe it's parallel universes that some people have shifted into our timeline, whereas others didn't.
Shifted into a different one.
Or we shifted into a different one, essentially.
That's why we remember things weird, because there was no Kazam in this or Shazam in this one.
Ultimately,
this is weird.
Ultimately, though, a lot of people say that it's glitches in the simulation. That's like they essentially say that it is a glitch in the lines of code.
If you got to reboot something and it doesn't all line up, or defrag a hard drive, and maybe it was on that hard drive.
It could be.
Ooh, that'd be weird. What if like some of the memory of the simulation was on something and it's just not there anymore?
Ooh, they had some tech problems. They had to swap out the hard drive.
Good thing. I guess good thing we weren't on there. The characters are hosted someplace different.
And then that also lends itself to the Fermi paradox, which we've talked about before, which is the question as to why haven't we contacted life yet? And maybe the answer is because the simulation only renders what we need to see, and we don't need to see aliens because they're not part of the simulation. So there's supposed to be limits, which explains a lot. There's limits to the simulation, so the universe being extremely vast, which we talked about. the speed of light is basically a program boundary, almost like an invisible wall in a video game. Like you can't advance past this point, you know, which is always frustrating to me. But, you know, if that's the case, then the space is a skybox, essentially. Like it's just...
Yeah, it would just be a picture, essentially. Or a dome or something like that.
Yeah, and so, you know, would we break the programming? Could we? Would we want to? Like, what if we don't? What if we step outside the boundaries and we cease to exist?
Yeah,
and he's going hard on this Mandela Effect thing still.
Yeah, it's weird though, because I mean, some of the stuff you do really remember, and I guess that would be GIF and Jiffy. Oh man, there's so many things here. That's crazy. Yeah, I've never looked up pictures of
Mandela
Effect.
It's wild. That's the Mandela episode effect is like an episode all to itself, which I think we talked about once before on Zumundo. But by the way, we're getting a lot of hits on Zumundo. Maybe we should go back and do another episode every now and then.
We're gonna kick out some jams.
We might pull back for another episode.
Do a movie review or something fun.
Yeah, it could be fun. Yeah. Let's do it.
So with that, I told you what my thing is like, why is the corner of that room programmed so well, right? I can see it in there. I can pull the baseboard off and there's stuff behind there. Like there's no pixels, you know, just hanging out that I've personally noticed. But there are weird things that happen, like that Mandela Effect thing and some other things that could lead you to believe that something's amiss. And I think that's why those movies actually hit so hard and the concept hits hard, because people feel something's off quite often, you know? That's just a natural feeling,
like a splinter in your mind's eye, Neo.
Yeah, something like that, you know? And, you know, there's unless a wizard, you know, explains his illusion, right? You know, you keep it up and it looks real, right? But like people can defy gravity and stuff like that. But it's not. It's like there's no rules that we've broken that we know of, really. I mean, we can do engineering feats and fly fast and physics. Well, I mean,
you think about that. Like, yeah, we have broken some of the laws. Like, flying's a great example. Like, you know, only in the last not even the last 100 years.
But they figured out lift.
Yeah, we conquered the science.
I say they because I didn't figure it out.
We conquered the science on that. Like, man can fly now. Not unassisted, obviously, but. You know, we take to the skies every single day now. You know, that's something that we do. We figured it out because I think man saw like the birds and like, well, the birds can do it. We're going to figure out how to get that done. And we did.
Right. And we did. So I don't know. I guess there's more research that needs to be done.
Yeah. Well,
you know, for sure. But I think it's interesting.
What do you think? Is it feasible? Debunked? I don't think we debunked it. It's too hard to debunk.
Yeah, I don't know if we can. I mean, unless you use whatever that deductive reasoning is, where it's like, if we could do it, we would do it. Hence, they did it. And we're in a simulation, something like that. I'm paraphrasing, but no, I guess more to follow. I hope it. What if you wake up one day and you're not even here and you just you've been playing this video game for your whole life, and then you're just like back to your time to go to work.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? And on that note, that's also the premise of my podcast, Roll for Real. You should check that out when it drops this summer in July.
Nice segue.
Thank you. Appreciate it. No, but I mean, I honestly, in terms of, I think it's just not something we're going to be able to prove or disprove, man. Like, you know, we may never know on that one. So whether or not we're living in a simulation, one thing is clear: reality is stranger than we think.
It's stranger than fiction.
It is stranger than fiction. Maybe we'll know. Maybe we'll never know for sure, but maybe, just maybe, we were never meant to.
Yeah.
For Zumundous, I'm Doolin.
And I'm Keith.
We'll see you next time, guys. Have a great night.
Yeah, it'd be weird. Like, you live a whole life and then you wake up and go to work the next day. You're like, dude, I played some crazy game last night.
My entire life inside of this simulation.
Zumundous.